Hello and welcome to the fourth part in this series where I go through the process of building my garden office. In this part I'll be building the floor. It's quite a long video and that wasn't intentional. I've sped up the repetitive bits, but I've tried to leave in anything that didn't quite go to plan, such as attaching the timber floor to my foundation blocks. And I've done this to show that whilst I've been fairly confident in how to execute each stage of the build, sometimes issues don't become apparent until when you're faced directly with them. A major thing I quickly had to get used to is the tolerances in working with materials like wood. As a web designer and web developer, digitally constructing something relies on consistently accurate pixels or working logic, but physical construction is a completely different ballgame. Apologies in advance for the audio quality, by the way. It was windy and I don't have proper audio equipment, so I've had to fix anything as best I can in post. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. I'm not really sure what the point of this little bag is to collect dust, because look. So obviously it's been a week since I did my floor, but I'm actually pretty happy that it looks to be level. So I'm just going to check some of these other ones as well. Hopefully they will be level too. So our first casualty, tool related casualty, I just caught the end of a screw and it broke. I don't know if you can see that, it broke the top of my impact driver bit, but luckily this pack comes with 3. This is the stage that I'm at. Some of the recording didn't come out because my phone ran out of storage, but basically I was having a real difficulty after I put all the noggins in and completed the timber frame for my floor, I had a real difficulty trying to square the building. It was good in one direction but not in the other, or well, they were both out, but one was out a lot more than the other, and I could not seem to get it square. So what I ended up doing was removing some of the noggins and removing the screws from just like say one side, just to alleviate the pressure from, or the solidity rather of the frame, to give me enough, well, give really, to just adjust it, make it square, and then screw down this batten across it to stop it from moving around. So what I'm actually going to do now is attach the timber frame to my concrete blocks, my foundation blocks, and then once everything is completely still, I will put my noggins back in and take the batten off, and then it's onto the joist hangers. So it's Sunday. I thought it was worth doing a quick sit rep on how everything went yesterday. So basically the morning went really well, as you can probably tell from the video. All the timbers got cut and put together and they all screwed together fine, but I ran into a couple of problems. I was trying to square the building, and I'm sorry about the wind here. I was trying to square the building and I couldn't get it square for love nor money, and I realised that the building was probably too solid. So I took out a few noggins. I've also unscrewed some sides of the noggins just to sort of make it less rigid, which allows me to move it all around. I was able then to square it up really easily, and I placed this batten along, and this batten is screwed in basically on each joist, so if you can see that, and that keeps the whole thing square, and that's been absolutely brilliant. I then slid under the not that one because it's blown off or disappeared or something, and I attached my angle brackets with the bolt. Now these are concrete screw bolts, but I ran into some real difficulties with them. So I'm following a video online about how to attach the joist using these brackets to the concrete screw bolts, to the 7N dense blocks underneath using a concrete screw bolt. And I was following it to the letter. I used the right size drill bit and everything. And when I was doing this one, I was tightening it up, and then as you can see, it put a crack. I was using it on this one first, put a crack through my block and through my mortar as well. So I thought, okay, well, I don't want to do that. I'll move it along a little bit, and I'll try a different one. And I cannot. It's pretty firm actually. It's pretty in there, but I can't move it with my hands or anything. But it's not as solid as it should be. And that happened on all four corners. So what I've decided to do today is get some. I got some like different kinds of concrete fixings. They're sort of concrete screws, really. They've got hexagonal or sort of like a star-shaped head, and they're self-tapping. So I'm hoping that what I can do is put them into these ones just to give it all a bit more strength, really, and hope I can create kind of 2 more anchor points on here, and just to give a bit more attachment to the block if these aren't going to be working that well. So that was the second problem I had. And then I ran out of light, which was a real pain, but I did start adding some joist hangers as well. And to top it all off, what I thought was being filmed wasn't being filmed. My phone ran out of storage, and then despite me taking the the videos off my phone, deleting them from my phone so I had the storage, it did something weird and it still didn't think I had any storage. So I'm hoping that today will be a better day. So I'm hoping I can get at least all the joist hangers in. I'm hoping that I can get the fixings attached to the foundation blocks properly on all of them, not just the corners but also the ones in the middle and at the sides as well. And then if I've got time, I'm hoping that I can put in the noggins again and remove the bracing, and then start on insulation and OSB another day. Okay, I didn't get around to filming this because my phone's still acting up. It only allows me to take very short segments of video, annoyingly, but I've had to abandon the whole idea of attaching it to my dense blocks. I just don't think, even though I've seen plenty of videos online of it being done, I just don't think they're meant to be drilled into. When you drill into them, they create so much dust that you can't then get any kind of fixing into it without it being the dust compacting and then cracking the block or causing a problem. I did try my concrete screws, which worked quite well at first, but again, they had the same problem as the big kind of concrete bolt that I had before, or concrete screw bolt, so I've had to abandon it completely. I'm going to leave these ones in place. As you can see, they've been nailed in. There's no harm in leaving them there, I don't think, and I will try and replace the DPC just so there's not holes in it. I just don't want any kind of issues underneath the building really, and I've got tons of the stuff anyway. But what I think I'm going to do instead is just add in the rest of the joist hangers and try and keep the building square whilst I reattach the noggins. I might cut down 1 or 2 noggins if they're not quite not the right size, but you know, they might be a bit too snug and sending everything off kilter a little bit. So I will do that, I think, and then see if the building's still square, and if it is, I think I'll just leave it, make sure it's all in the position I want it to be in, and then start adding insulation and sheet material, and I think the weight of it then will keep it in place rather than constantly kind of worrying about fixing it to the ground. So I haven't done a lot of filming, but I had to lift the floor, so I can attach these battens underneath. The battens are going to hold the insulation, or stop the insulation from falling out the bottom when the wood contracts and expands in the seasons. And I also thought, actually, that's probably quite good bracing for the whole structure. So what I've done is I've added in all my noggins now. I had to trim 2 down. I've put in my 4 battens along the bottom, and it's probably quite a good opportunity to see kind of the damage I've done to these blocks. So you can see that this one here was the concrete screw bolt, and these were the concrete screws, and there's a few of those. And you can also see the crack through this block. However, I have trodden on it, and because it's on a bed of mortar and it's on a hardcore pad, it doesn't seem to want to move. It's still, yes, there's a crack through it, but they're, you know, both pieces, both parts of it are cemented to the floor, so to the ground. So I'm not too worried about it. So yeah, I just want to kind of show this really, and just kind of show my work, despite all the frustrations this weekend and not quite getting as far as I wanted to. The evening has given me a lovely pink sky and a half moon. Just realised I haven't actually shown you the back of my fence, so this is what it looks like. You can see how much has been added here, and you can see the 1 metre of space where my hedge is going to go. Looks nice. The problem with designing in inches and feet and centimetres and metres. I've always been working in centimetres and metres because, well, that's what I work in metric all the time. But you can see I've got this tiny little gap which I'm going to fill with all the offcuts of insulation. And I've got this one piece and this little bit of board left, and it doesn't fit. And I could have, if I had planned it out better, I could have had my two gaps kind of in here. Along with that, it probably would have fit, and that would have been two boards. But I've got to cut off a tiny slither, or a whole piece rather, of just one board, which is really frustrating, but what can you do? It's one of those things. There we have it, one fully insulated floor. I'm rather proud of that. I keep checking it. I'm paranoid about the whole building going out of being square. I'm not sure insulation would be able to do that, but I just checked and it's still all perfectly square. I've been worried about it more or less since I decided that I wasn't going to attach it to the foundation blocks, but all seems to be fine. I did have to cut one more piece, never mind. I'm sure I'll use the rest of that insulation board for something else, but I was able to use all the offcuts to just kind of make a little kind of puzzly bit. Any gaps like this one here, they'll just get filled in with expanding foam. What you can see as well is, I think on this last board, you can see that the fit is much better than, say, my first board, which is probably a bit too loose, a bit too much of a gap there. But that's fine. I'll fill it in with expanding foam and, you know, do a better job of it. But yeah, overall, I feel like it's coming along. That's how cold it is. That is ice on my insulation. At least I know my insulation works. It's 3 in the afternoon. I must look so cool doing that. So cool. whilst I was finishing off the floor, all the rest of my material for the back wall and the 2 side walls arrived. So that's quite a lot of timber there and OSB, and that's obviously all my insulation for the whole of the build. But the biggest problem I have isn't actually space, it's that I can't get to my beer. It's all the way over there.